this is the haunting of Duff Green Mansion. And Duff Green is still one of the top bed and breakfast. Duff Green Mansion was built back in 1856, and it's really a stunning antebellum mansion. It really demonstrates the rise and fall of fortunes, the ravages of war, and then there's Mrs. Mary Green, or the ghost of Mary Green. Duff Green was built by a gentleman named Duff Green. He was a wealthy businessman. He was an avid supporter of the Confederate cause, and this house was designed to reflect the prosperity. And the mansion really became a social hub for Vicksburg. And a lot of people don't realize it, but Vicksburg was actually north. The town was really north of what we now consider downtown Vicksburg. And there's still buildings up there. So if you go up there, you can tell that that's where town was. The house actually sits behind Trinity Episcopal Church. The mansion had all these lavish parties and all these gatherings. Then the Civil War hit, and the mansion was transformed into a hospital. And it witnessed just a huge amount of suffering and loss, and soldiers and civilians as well. Even out to its west side, it sits on a hill. So during the siege of Vicksburg, most of the civilians left their homes and dug caves down in the low soil that is real loose there in Vicksburg and made these caves, and that's where they lived while the battle was going on. Being used as a hospital, the Confederates got smart, and they put the Union soldiers up on the top floor and the Confederate soldiers on the main floor. And this prevented the Union from shelling the house. Although there is damage to the house that dates from the Civil War. I mean, it didn't mean they missed it. It just meant they didn't really target it. There's still a cannonball stuck in the floor of the house. Not only was there that damage, but there is blood spots all over the main floor. And blood, when it gets into wood, just turns like a black spot, and you cannot get it out. I mean, when you see it, you might have to be told what it is once, but you won't doubt it the next time. Now, Mary Green, who was Duff Green's beloved wife, was known for her beauty, her grace, and her strong will. And she tirelessly aided the injured and dying soldiers and became a beacon of hope in that war-torn household as that hospital. And despite all the efforts, of course, many lives, a mini ball tears a body up, and most of the time you're going to have an amputation. It is said that there was one day there were so many amputations performed, and they would simply take the amputated limb and throw it out the window, that the amputations came up to the bottom of the window. So we're talking like a pile of 5-6 feet tall of amputation left over out the window. So the legend of Mary Green's ghost, it begins shortly after her death in the late 19th century, and it said that she had devoted herself to caring for others, and again, her spirit felt bound to the mansion, and she's not able to leave behind the memories of the lives she had touched and the pain she had witnessed. So among the ghostly encounters, you'll see Mrs. Green's ghost in the basement windows. Local lore describes how on a quiet, moonlit night, a spectral figure can be seen gliding past the basement windows, her ethereal form illuminated by the silvery moonlight. They recount seeing her dressed in a flowing white gown. Her face is a pale reflection of her earthly beauty. Her eyes are filled with just an unspoken yearning and witnesses to what she saw in her life. Now, she's one of the principal ghosts of the house, but she's not the only one. There is also a Confederate soldier who stands watch in one of the bedrooms in the downstairs in the basement area of the house, and he'll either be standing up beside a mantel or he will be in a rocking chair. And he's simply there protecting the room from whoever happens to be sleeping in that bed. And it has happened with people that are there as guests of the B&B. So here's where Mrs. Green's story gets interesting. One afternoon in 2003, my wife and I had gone up to Duff Green. At that time, it was owned by Mr. Harry Sharp, who was a direct descendant of Robert E. Lee, and he was the board president. for the Vicksburg Main Street program, which is who I worked for. And for some reason or other, I needed to go talk to him about something. Drove up to the house, parked on the street beside the mansion. Kay decided she was going to stay in the car, and I went in the house, talked to Harry. Then when I got ready to go, he said, hey, I'm going to go out and say hey to Kay. So we walk out to the car, and Kay looks at Harry and says, Harry, how many people are staying in the house this weekend? And Harry looked at Kay and said, none. And you could see it in Kay's face. She said, well, there's somebody in there. And Harry and I kind of in unison looked at her and said, Kay, what'd you see? She described Miss Green to a T. She said, there was this lady in there that was in a white gown, and she was looking out the window at me for about 15 minutes. And we just looked at each other. And she saw Mrs. Green. Well, that was enough. But then Harry asked Kay to go to work for him at Duff Green Mansion and be his administrative aide for the bed and breakfast and what other businesses he had going on that he needed assistance with. And she took the job, knowing that the house was haunted. Her office was in the basement of the house. She would go to work in the morning, and she would simply tell the ghost, good morning, so that they would know she was at the house, and that was all well and good. From time to time, we would talk, and I would say, so how's the house acting today? And she would tell me about how you could hear the people walking on the first floor wooden floors and hear the sounds of what the hospital was doing during the day. Then she would tell me about being able to hear horses in the basement, which would make good logical sense because they would bring horses up through the basement and stable them there or just to get them away from being injured. Even today, when we go to Vicksburg, we have to go by and check on Duff Green and discuss the time she saw Mrs. Green. So Duff Green continues to stand as a cherished landmark. Harry sold the house several years ago. The people that have it, I haven't been in it since they bought it, but I understand they did some updating to it, and it's still a bed and breakfast and a beautiful house. Across the corner from it sits the nurses' quarters. It's a single-story house. Would be a house that maybe a merchant lived in. Wasn't a real fancy mansion or anything. It, too, has some ghost stories of its own where the nurses lived there and sadness that they saw. And then, of course, there's other houses around it. But that's the story of Duff Green Mansion. And it's one that anybody's welcome to go and spend the night there. And who knows? You may see Mrs. Green or maybe see the Confederate soldier, and who knows?